So regulations, training, finance are all going to have to move in the same direction if we're going to meet the massive challenge of retrofitting our housing stock. But we're not going to achieve the scale and the speed that we need without great consumer technology. Say you're the proud owner of this lovely cottage in the south of Scotland. You know about climate change, you've seen your bills rise, so you've decided to do something about it. You start with your energy performance certificate. It gives you some generic pointers, but no specific plan and no route through to procurement. You get online, do some research, end up on Home Energy Scotland's website. Their system asks you some questions about your home, but pretty quickly you realize you don't know the first thing about the type of insulation you have in your walls or the inclination of your roof, and you've got a knowledge issue. You call up a friend because he fitted a heat pump last year, but he said it took him about a year to find a tradesman because there was no one local who could do the job. So, say through sheer doggedness you managed to get a bunch of measures lined up for your home. You do the sums, £40,000. It's more than your savings, and it looks like, unfortunately, although you're going to save some money on bills, the payback period will take you well into the 22nd century. Now, take this picture and times it by 20 million UK homeowners, and realize the amount of time we're going to lose in confusion and hassle, time the planet doesn't have. So while it's obvious that software isn't by itself going to deliver the revolution that we need, this revolution is not going to happen without the kind of seamless user journeys that software enables at scale. That's why we're creating Novoville Shared Works, an online platform for decarbonisation and energy efficiency that will take you on a route from assessment through to procurement, but crucially, one that takes into account and harnesses the power of your community by design. Now, the journey starts by gathering knowledge about your home, and that means downloading publicly available data, such as your EPC and other data sets, by interfacing with existing APIs. It also means helping you procure the services of an independent consultant who is going to come to your property, knock on walls, and generate some high-confidence property-specific information and load it into your building passport. Now, that kind of service is often out of reach if you're proceeding alone, but it becomes affordable if you take a community-driven approach. The journey continues by analyzing this data. And algorithms can be helpful in order to give you an initial set of recommendations, and that's why we're integrating with Zoos's groundbreaking technology, which Alex will tell you a little bit more about later. But to turn these recommendations into a proper plan for your property, you need your independent consultant to curate those recommendations, taking into account your personal and your financial circumstances and the pre-existing condition of your home. This is crucial, and it's a key differentiator to our approach in that it takes into account both the occupant and the building in a holistic fashion, what the industry tends to call whole house retrofit. Now, to help you raise the money that you're going to need to pay for these works, we're going to interface with both public sources of funding, such as Home Energy Scotland, and to help you raise the shortfall with banks and building societies to help you compare the various deals that they can offer you directly from inside the platform. Now, we get to the point where you need to get a contractor to do the work. And here we hit a little bit of a snag, because most contractors and consultants today work on very large gigs, typically social housing contracts. To get to net zero by 2045, we're going to need 200,000 contractors to join the supply side. To give you a sense of scale, that's 10 times as many as we have today. Now, software isn't going to retrain your plumbers, plasterers, roofers, and architects. But what it can do is it can make it worth their while to retrain. How? By aggregating demand. By taking your needs and grouping them with that of other people, and turning individual buyers into buying communities. And that's because tradespeople and consultants today aren't very excited about the prospect of investing a lot of money into their workforce or acquiring expensive certifications in order to work on small, house-by-house individual jobs. But if it's an order for 10 homes in one go that we're talking about, it's a completely different story. And bulk procurement like this won't just enable work to happen and at a lower cost on the installation side, but it's going to help make sure that your retrofit is a success. Our research has shown that on the consultant side, bulk procurement can reduce the costs by up to 50%, making sure that you can now afford that all-important quality assurance. So during CivTech, we've worked with RICS qualified surveyors and conservation architects, EALA Impacts, with passive house consultants, Local Home. We've worked with government, local and national, and banks and building societies in order to build the specification for a best-in-class national decarbonisation and energy efficiency platform. 72% of over 1,000 people we asked during our market research said that they were on the market for such a platform today. Retrofit is a £360 billion problem for Britain right now. And we think that we're one of the companies that can help deliver on our mission to reduce our carbon emissions. That's because 3 years ago, we launched Novoville Shared Repairs. It's an online platform and an app-based marketplace for repairs and maintenance in tenement blocks, elsewhere called blocks of flats. In the last 3 years, we've gathered 10,000 properties in the platform, and we've been managing about 200 projects. Some banks today are even excited about the prospect of our running their whole procurement backend due to the work that we've already put in. We estimate it's going to cost about £750,000 for us to deliver our end-to-end journey. We're very glad that through the CivTech program, the Scottish Government has already pledged about a quarter of that sum. So if you're investing in this space, I hope you'll come and talk to me after so that we can turn our vision into a reality. There's 20 million people waiting. Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. Another excellent presentation. Thank you. You're one of 2 companies on this cohort that have been through CivTech before. And kind of based on that, you've kind of developed a platform for shared repairs with various councils. How far along are you with building a kind of similar platform for retrofit?
So we've already started, and it's going to be, a long road ahead. We expect that we'll deliver our MVP in September of this year. But thankfully, we're not starting from scratch because of our experience with Novoville Shared Repairs. We already have a strong, solid base on which to expand.
Okay, cool. Just looking, are there any questions in the room as of yet? Leslie has spied someone. It's going to be good for the step count, I think.
Thank you very much. Russell Dalgleish, I chair the advisory group at CivTech. Could you tell us a little bit about your international ambitions going beyond the UK? Because for fundraising, that might open up new doors for you.
That's true. To be honest, we're focusing first and foremost on Scotland and very much on the south of Scotland to begin with. But there is a clear path to broadening the scope of the market into the UK and then later on outside. Retrofit, how it's done, does depend very much obviously on the buildings that we're looking at and the regulations in place in the various countries. So it takes quite a lot of work in order to move to a different location. So we'll take it step by step, but we do have every ambition to go as far and wide as we can.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I may take the chance if I may. I think your previous solution focused on quite urban areas initially. Obviously, South of Scotland or Enterprise are you're one of your sponsors here. Are there any kind of changes in approach that you're going to take when you're dealing with largely kind of rural communities where it might be more difficult to get that kind of collective purchasing power?
Yes, of course. So one of the things that we're doing is we're creating a role for intermediaries inside the platform. So we will rely on some of the amazing work that community organizers are putting in on the ground, one of which is in this room. And really enable a lot of the education and a lot of the preparation on the demand side to occur before any sort of tech solution comes along. So it's not just about a single person, going on a website, filling in some data, and then getting all the way through to the end. But it's about making sure that through our tool, we enable people to come together, work together. So yeah, I think this role for community intermediaries from the get-go is very important.
Cool. All right, so that's the first half of the solution. Louis, thank you. It was a fantastic presentation.